What's up guys? Today I'm coming at you again with another acoustic electric hybrid guitar thanks to my friends at Zzounds. They sent this for me to check out for a bit, to take it on stage to see how it performs in a live music scenario, and then to come back here into the studio and show it to you guys. Now this is officially, I believe, the 5th hybrid guitar that I've had here in my studio. I originally had my Ernie Ball JP6, which I dearly miss. I have my Godin multi-act steel guitar, and I've also gigged and reviewed with both the full hollow body PRS SE and the semi-hollow body PRS SE with the Piezo pickups. So if you haven't figured out by now, yes, I am wanting a new hybrid guitar to use with my band for our acoustic performances, and you may have also caught John Brown from Monuments using the Pelham Blue version of this guitar on stage as well. Now, our band, we do acoustic a bit different. We call it acoustic-ish because on lead parts, we like to kick over on higher gain settings and spice things up a bit. There's one place we play in particular that only has enough room for a small acoustic set, but they really like to get rowdy later on in the night. I mean, it's an Irish bar. And we've gone full on high gain like Bulls on Parade or by Rage Against the Machine, Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and the Godin just really isn't built for that. It does, however, have a more full-bodied and natural-sounding acoustic voice compared to these types of instruments. But as you heard there in the intro, with a little bit of EQing and some acoustic impulse responses added to the signal, I think it's more than adequate when it comes to delivering a perfectly good acoustic sound. Okay, so why did I ask Zzounds to send me this guitar? Let's take a look at some of the features that I think make this a very, very good instrument. If you just want a quick summary, this is essentially just a very well-built electric guitar out of Indonesia. They added an upper hollowed-out chambered section here and a Fishman Piezo bridge. And you've essentially got yourself a great electric guitar that happens to have a good piezo system as well. And I think it has a visual vibe that sits just right in an acoustic performance, and it doesn't really look out of place. I think that the Crescent Moon F-hole up here and this beautiful zebra wood top and the cream binding, they really give it a distinguished and mature look. The guitar also features a very nice deep set neck construction. Check that out. So access all the way up to the 24th fret is just outstanding. In addition to that, it has a pair of carbon fiber rods reinforcing the neck to increase stability. The Pasadena and the Pasadena Plus pickups are also really well balanced and are, I think they're a little bit hotter and tighter than the pickups that come in those two PRS guitars. It also comes with Schecter locking tuners. Brownie points there, guys. It also has a Graphtec tusk nut, and most noticeably, this guitar has a 3-way toggle selector to select between your magnetic and piezo pickups or blend between the two. Finally, these pickups can be split into single coil sounds by using the tone knob here, which is a push-pull pot. One important thing to note is that there is a flametop version of this instrument. I believe they call it the Cat's Eye version. It has different pickups in there. It has the Schecter Diamond Plus pickups, from which I've gathered are a bit more generic in sound compared to these Pasadenas, which from what I can gather on the internet, they seem to be pretty highly regarded as a good pickup, and in my experience, they do sound very good. Lastly, this thing does come sliding in at about $100 cheaper on MSRP compared to those two PRS SE hybrids, but on the other hand, the full hollow body version of the SE hybrid has a very nice flame top and flame back, and it has a hard shell case. The semi-hollow SE also has a very nice flame top as well, and it comes with a gig bag. The only thing that I would have done differently with this would have been to add some stainless frets. I mean, I think that at $1,500, we're kind of at that price point where stainless shouldn't be off the table. They put them on the less expensive Sun Valley Super Shredder that I've got, as well as the Luminlay inlays. I mean, I'm just still super impressed at how good of an instrument that Sun Valley is at the price that those things go for. The setup out of the box on this thing was like this close to being absolutely flawless. The action was maybe just a touch too high, and the intonation was nearly perfect. The A string was just barely off, but that also could have been a result of me lowering the bridge down just a little bit. The fretwork is very good. The ends are perfectly dressed. The neck relief is also set absolutely perfectly. There are no blemishes or other issues with the build or anything like that, and the wiring is also very cleanly done. If you would have told me that this came from their Korean factory, which most seem to think have a slightly better build quality than the Indonesia models, I wouldn't question you. Also, my luthier, Jason at Homewood Music, who currently has the V Project guitar that I've been working on, he got to play around with this and he was super impressed with it. And he basically said, hey, you need to buy this thing if you're thinking about it. So definitely twisted my arm a little bit there, but getting his seal of approval was just even that much more validation of how good of an instrument this is. Okay, so now that you know about the guitar, let me go over how I have all of this set up. Now, unlike most other review videos where I sort of just kind of gloss over the setup and put it up as an annotation in the video, I feel like the nature of how this guitar can, and I think is intended to be used, I think that merits a dedicated setup explanation. Now, it sounds more complicated than it actually is, so just bear with me or skip ahead. You can use the little timestamps down below if you really don't care and if you just kind of want to hear more of what this thing sounds like. So, unlike the other hybrids that I've had in the studio, all of those have dual output jacks. This guitar has a single stereo output jack. That jack connects to a stereo TRS cable, which is going down into a D'Addario stereo Y splitter. One side of the splitter is for the magnetic pickups, and the other side, as you can imagine, is for the piezos. The magnetic signal is going into the tuner, then into the Origin MEQ driver pedal, then out of a volume pedal into the Friedman Plex, which is running into the aux box. Out of the aux box, it goes into the quad cortex. The piezo signal is going straight into another input on the quad cortex. Each of the two signals have their own dedicated path, where the piezo signal, it goes through a compressor and a blend of two different acoustic IRs, and then a reverb, chorus, and delay, and a looper block. The magnetic signal, because I'm using the Plex, has the amp and impulse response blocks disabled on its path, and it just has reverb and delay. Yes, I know the aux box can do both reverb and delay, but I want the sound coming from this unit to have a uniform reverb and delay sound. And more importantly, because I have a stereo output set up on the quad cortex, I'm able to retain that nice big stereo spread on both the acoustic and the electric side of things. So I can have like this big, nice, lush stereo chorus on the acoustic and ping pong stereo delay on the lead parts. Each signal path is routed to the main left and right outputs to facilitate that stereo sound. One output goes into the FR on stage and the other goes into the PA. And my vocal mic just has its own sort of business as usual thing, getting its own path in and out of the quad cortex. Again, it's also stereo out with one signal going to the FR and another going to the PA. And like I've expressed in a few other videos, doing this type of output routing gives me complete and total control over the sound of my FR on stage, and it allows our singer or whoever else is running sound, it allows them to have full control over the signal going into the PA, and we can both kind of do our own thing. Finally, to facilitate switching from magnetic to piezo, I have a volume block on each signal path, which is set at 0 decibels. When the block is engaged, it mutes whichever signal the block is engaged for. On the acoustic path, the mute block is set at the beginning of the path. This way I can mute the signal coming in. However, if I have a loop going, it still allows the loop to continue playing like you heard there in the intro. Now on the electric path, the mute block is at the end of the path, and what that does is it prevents any sort of unwanted hiss coming out of the signal, especially if I've got a high gain amp block that I'm actually using in the quad cortex. One switch is programmed to toggle on or off these two mute blocks, and they alternate which one is active. So this is how I facilitate the switching between acoustic and electric. The quad cortex is pretty powerful when it comes to all of these routing and switching and input and output capabilities, but if you don't have a quad cortex or some other digital unit that can facilitate this kind of setup, that's why this physical switch selector on the guitar is absolutely clutch. I could run one signal into an amp and cab and then another into something like that NUX Optima Air or my Fishman Aura Spectrum DI box, and just with the flip of the selector here, I can quickly jump from electric or acoustic or blend the two if I want to. Not all players have a powerful digital unit like this, and that's why I made such a big deal about the lack of a switch like this on those PRSs. Okay, so that's how everything is set up, and hopefully it gives you guys a little bit of an insight as to how I approach this kind of hybrid setup. So if you are currently shopping for one of these types of dual function instruments, you'll have maybe some ideas on how you can possibly run your own setup. There are some other ways to facilitate the switching, like maybe a AB box or something like that, but it's just really nice to have the selector right here where you can quickly flip from one or the other. Okay, that is enough of that. Let's hear some more of these sounds. I will kill the acoustic IR block so that you can hear what just the raw piezo sounds like, and I will also get rid of the effects so you can hear everything just bone dry straight from the guitar, and then I'll add some stuff back pretty quickly because just raw piezo is kind of gross sounding. Now, unlike on the PRS SEs, you also have a tone control for your piezo. I really like the addition of the tone control, and while it's not as powerful as, say, the JP6 that I had with the separate, I think it was bass, mid, and treble controls for the piezo system, just having the ability to shave off just a little bit of that top-end bite is really nice. All right, let's jump over to the magnetic pickups and enjoy some more of those vintage high-gain plexi sounds. Like the acoustic part, I will kill any of the effects so we will hear it bone dry, and then we'll come back in with some of those effects. I've got everything set up exactly how I used it at our show, except for in the aux box, I'm actually using the Marshall Vintage 30 cabinet instead of the greenback cabinet. All of the controls, except for the master volume, are dimed the mid-range is the exception. It's about halfway up. The volume 1 is all the way up. Volume 2 is right around 9 o'clock, and the bright switch for both channels is flipped over to the left. So as you can see down here, I can quickly go from acoustic to electric, and you can see the two volume blocks alternating on and off. So right now with the acoustic, this volume block down here is engaged, so it's muting the signal. And when I toggle the channel, it turns off, so it unmutes the signal, and the one up on the top row for the magnetic pickups, it turns on. Let me kill the MEQ driver right here for a second, and I will go ahead and turn reverb off so we will hear just the amp. All right, I've got the reverb block re-engaged. Delay. All right, I've got the gain on the amp back down, and I've got the MEQ driver disabled here for a minute. And we're gonna go ahead and hear some of the lower gain-ish sounds that this thing can do, and also we'll check out the sound of these pickups when they're split coil. All right, so yeah, just great sounds from this amp, and these Pasadenas are really good sounding as well. Now let's take a listen to how both of the pickup systems sound. Currently with the way that this is set up, I can't have both of them. It's an either or thing. And if you notice, the selector on the guitar is in the middle. All the way forward is for the magnetic pickups, all the way backwards is for the piezos, and in the middle you get both. Because I'm relying on both of them being active all the time, that's why I run this in the middle. However, because of those two mute blocks, I'm only able to have one or the other. So what I need to do is I'm going to disable both of the blocks for the muting, and that effectively is going to let both signals through the outputs of the quad cortex. I think it's worth pointing out that if you're using both signals simultaneously, if you're using both pickup systems blended together, you really don't want a high gain or even like a moderate amount of gain in the signal. You want to use a very, very clean sound with, you know, like a good, nice, clean, full-bodied sound to get that nice blend in there, because distortion and gain sort of sit weird in the mix when you're blending them. Oh, let me show you. See, it's like they're fighting each other. So what I'm going to do here is roll back the volume on these pickups and see if that helps a little bit. So this is what I've got for the electric magnetic pickups and the piezos. Split coil. A little bit of chorus on the piezo. Let's see what that does. I like that. I wonder what delay sounds like. I wonder what 2 delay sounds like. Well, I guess they're both happening at the exact same time, so of course they're in sync. Okay guys, you know what time it is. It's time for the post-gig report, where I tell you guys all about how this instrument and this setup performed on stage out in the wild, far removed from this nice controlled studio environment. Okay, so for our show, I paired everything up here with a QSC K10.2 sitting next to me, and our PA for this show we used was our Bose L1 Pro 16, I think, and depending on the venue, we usually also have a QSC K12.2, but for this weekend, it was just the Bose. Now, all I really needed to do after bringing this setup from the house was just to make a couple of little EQ adjustments in the Auxbox app on my iPad to have it sit just right with that smaller QSC speaker, and a little fine tuning to the Friedman's output using the Auxbox line level control to get it just a little bit hotter than the piezo sound, and that was really all I had to do to get a really great sound. The guitar held tuning stability all night long. I think I maybe had to tweak one string before the second set, but that was really it. And it was extremely comfortable to play sitting down all night. And even though my Godin isn't as big and as full-sized as a regular acoustic, the smaller proportions of the Schecter just made it that much more comfortable to play all night long compared to the Godin. The transition from acoustic to electric on stage worked really well, nice and seamless, and it didn't really jump out as unnatural or jarring sounding because we had a full band playing, and the more vintage nature of the Plex's voice also sort of lent itself to, I guess, a bit of a smoother and less in-your-face transition from acoustic to lead as well. So overall, it was an extremely great playing and great sounding and good-looking instrument on stage, and currently it is sitting at the very top easily of my potential candidates list of a new hybrid acoustic electric guitar to purchase. All right, so now it is time for my conclusion and my final thoughts and who I think this instrument is for. I think most of you know if you need an instrument like this in your life or not. You may not exactly need a hybrid, but it's really nice to have a very good electric guitar that if the situation calls for it, you can also have the option to get a great acoustic sound as well. Like maybe you primarily play out as an electric player, but you get a call from someone needing a fill-in musician for an acoustic show one day. If you've got something like this, and even just like a modest DI solution, you're gonna be ready to go, and you've got something that you're already familiar with, and you've got a nice, great feeling, great playing instrument that you can go on stage and have not only a good sounding instrument, but also an instrument that, like I said, it looks the part and doesn't stand out as being weird looking on an acoustic set. Now there are obviously some cheaper alternatives from Schecter if you're only looking for an electric guitar, and there are cheaper hybrid options out there from companies like Michael Kelly. But this instrument, I think it leans in a bit harder with its design and looks and build and construction with this neck joint, the nice hot pickups and things like that. It leans a little bit harder into the traditional electric guitar side of things, but has just enough of this design flair with the zebra wood top and this nice crescent moon F-hole that, like I said, it doesn't look out of place on an acoustic stage. The piezos, they sound great, and with a dedicated toggle switch down here for the pickups and a tone knob for the piezos, looks aside, I think that this has more flexibility than both of those PRS SEs. If you're okay with losing the toggle switch down here and the piezo tone control, I still think that the PRSs are absolutely outstanding looking, playing, and sounding instruments. So there's still great options if you don't care about these things that I'm kind of specifically mentioning about this one. If, however, you do want that extra switching flexibility and a little bit better of a neck heel joint than the PRSs and the locking tuners, then I think that this Schecter gets the nod over both of the PRS SEs. All you would need to do is just buy a case or a gig bag if you plan on taking this out on stage. So that extra cost for the bag or case, it does bring it right there in line with those PRSs. As for which one I would choose, I think honestly, if I had the cash, like I said, it would probably just be an Ernie Ball, but even like a used JP6 like I used to have, they're still like $1,000 more than what this thing goes for, and that's just really not in the cards for me. Even though those are phenomenal electric guitars, I'm looking at this from the buying perspective of a hybrid-only instrument. I need something with a good piezo sound, and I think if our band played way more acoustic shows, maybe I might be more inclined to look at the Ernie Balls, but because we don't really play a whole bunch of acoustic, I think that this is an absolutely exceptional choice. ESP also have their LTD EC1000 piezo model with a really nice transparent black quilted top, and the Duncan JB, I think it has a JB in 59 set for kind of a more traditional electric guitar vibe, right around the same price as this thing. But like I said, this has a visual presence on stage that blends in more with the acoustic nature of a show, whereas that ESP LTD, it's an electric guitar. It looks like an electric guitar, and in my opinion would maybe stand out a little bit too much as, oh, there's an acoustic band there, but this guy's playing this weird electric guitar or something like that. I don't know. If you want to jump on one of these Schecters though, I will have an affiliate link down there in the video description, just like always, along with the Plex and all this other stuff that I use to make this video happen. Also, as of filming this, Zzounds currently has a scratch and dent version of the Pelham Blue model of this guitar in stock for like, I think it's like $500 off, making it a very enticing offer. Okay guys, thanks for hanging out with me and checking out this really great Schecter guitar, and another big thanks to the guys at Zzounds for sending me this thing to try out for a little while to see what I think and to talk to you guys about it. And I will wrap things up here and probably play through another jam outro thing if you want to stick around for that. If not, thanks for checking out the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye. Alright, Fender. This is how you do it, Fender and/or Seymour Duncan. Protective film. Clean as a whistle. That's how you do pickup protection. Nice and easy.